So it's not quite funny when your daily operating system gets corrupted and you cannot boot to that operating system anymore. So I just thought that it will be much easier to reinstall a fresh Windows 10 operating system to my daily drive. So I'm using an M.2 SM951 M.2 SSD for my daily operating system. When I was just doing some quick tests recently, like yesterday or 2 days ago, when I pressed reset in my daily operating system as it accidentally booted that drive, now it only gives me critical process died, blue screen of death error, and I cannot get that worked around as for some reason it doesn't find any system restore points or similar, and the commands I tried in the CMD do not work, so I will just reinstall a fresh operating system. So I right now in my computer I have plugged in a separate SSD where I have this Windows 10 installed, so I can capture and save all of my key important files I want to save from my previous daily operating system drive, as I can access all the files although I cannot boot the drive for some reason. So I just copied all the things that I want to save from it to a big normal hard disk drive over here. So when I'm sure that I have got everything, I can get ready and just reinstall the Windows 10 onto that drive, and it will wipe all the data that existed there before. So the thing we want to do is that I have an empty USB drive plugged to the computer at the rear I/O at the moment. So it's this ESD-USB. It is an empty drive, and I will just let it be like this for the installation process. The Windows installation utility will handle it and work that and get it formatted and so on. So we will just go to the Microsoft Windows website, www.microsoft.com, where you can download the Windows 10 installation media. So we will be installing the latest Windows 10 May 2019 version. So it is the 1903 version, I think, but the latest one because it's the best performing one so far in my tests. So we'll click this create Windows 10 installation media, and we will press download tool now. Save file, and it will download it. So it came pretty much, so we will just open it. Click yes. And sorry that I'm not using the monitor capture card, because I have some issues with that, because for some reason the voice recording does not work with that capture card at the moment, and it's very annoying to sync the audio with the video like 100%. So it's just easier for me to film at the monitor like this, and you will get the idea and all the steps, I'm sure. So click accept to accept all the things, and then it should ask what we want to do, update or create installation media for separate installation offline. So we don't want to select the upgrade this PC now. We will select create installation media to install Windows 10 from a USB flash drive, DVD or etc. for another PC. So we will click that, and then we will click next. I will be installing the English version, even though I'm Finnish, but I will be installing English because it's easier to find information about any potential problems when the operating system is in English language. So I will be installing it in English. Select 64-bit. No one should be using 32-bit anymore with really high-end hardware, like for example what I'm using. So make sure the architecture is set to 64-bit or x62 or x64. x86 is 32-bit. Windows 10. It will have all the different versions or editions in the ISO file, and we will be installing the Windows 10 Pro 64-bit. Then we will click next, and as we will be using USB flash drive to install the Windows 10, we will select the USB flash drive. If we wanted to use a DVD, then we would select the ISO file option. But since we are using a USB flash drive, we will select the USB flash drive, the top one. Then we will click next, and then we have to check the device. So it's the G ESD-USB. C is the main one that I'm using right now as backup drive to get all the things, and D is my big hard disk drive where I'm just storing all my important things like videos, etc. So just make sure you select the correct device, so the G ESD-USB in this case, and we will select next. Now it will start preparing the target USB device. It will download the installation package, it will format the USB drive, and it will have all the important files there, so it's ready for installation. So just let this pass, and once this has passed, I will go to the BIOS and show you what to do next. And now we can see that it has passed. We can see that your USB flash drive is ready with the G letter, and now we can just click finish. And if we open File Explorer and my computer, we can see the particular USB flash drive here with all the installation files. So now we just have to restart the system and go to the BIOS to get ready for installation. So I'm sure you all know how to get to the BIOS, so just ramp your delete key on your keyboard when your system restarts. And here's how the system looks like. So right now for this installation process, I don't have the main graphics card plugged into the motherboard, as I will be doing that later. So now just for the actual installation process, I will be using my Galaxy 710 GT. But of course, if you have all the things set up in a case, you would have all the end components already plugged in as one complete rig. But I'm just doing this now for this demonstration like this. So we will be installing the Windows 10 to the M.2 drive over here. So this is the Samsung SM951 M.2 drive. So it's quite an old device, but it's still relatively fast. EVGA Z390 Dark with a Core i9 9900K arrow stepping CPU, 2 sticks of HyperX Predator 4133 Cas19 sticks, and a custom watercooling loop on the CPU. So that's pretty much it. I will have all the other drives plugged to the system after the installation, but now for the actual installation I don't have anything else. I mean, I don't have any other drives plugged to the motherboard except the M.2 drive. So I have the USB drive over here on the one of the, so this is the ASMedia USB 3.1A port, which is the only port that works in Windows XP or Windows 7 before installing the Intel USB drives. So that's pretty much it. So now we are in the BIOS by pressing delete key on our keyboard. So as you can see, I have all the things at stock. I haven't overclocked this system, and I will not be overclocking it for now. So we will have everything at stock. So if you are a beginner, so just don't do anything in the BIOS of the Z390 Dark. If this is the motherboard you are using, just go to the boot tab on the top part of the screen. Scroll down to boot select or boot mode select. So if you are installing Windows 10 from a USB stick like I am here, make sure this is set to UEFI. If you are installing from a DVD, or you are installing like any other like old operating system from a DVD, then set this to legacy instead of UEFI. And if you are installing Windows 7 or older, enable the Windows 7 installation to have backwards compatibility with your USB mouse and keyboard. But since we are installing the newest possible operating system, we don't have to worry about any USB related issues or anything. So this is the only thing you have to do. So just set this to UEFI. And we want to select boot option 1 to USB hard disk, as we want to boot the USB stick, not the actual drive. We hit F10 and press yes. I will go back to the BIOS and double check that it's going to boot the right device. Sometimes if the USB is plugged to an AS media port, it might not work like how we want to. So I will double check that now. So I will go back to the setup. I will go to yeah, it's not working. So yeah. So as this happens, then don't plug the USB drive to an AS media port. So just take it out like this, and I will put it to one of the Intel ones. So I will put it underneath the LAN cable, just like this. I will press F10 again to refresh the BIOS. And now we can set, if we go to save and exit tab, so the last tab on the top part of the screen, we can find the correct one we want to boot in the boot override section. We want to boot the UEFI Kingston Data Traveler 3.0, which is the USB stick, and not the actual M.2 drive yet. Now we can see it will start loading. Yep. And this is the start screen of the installation process. So we are installing the English language, but since I'm Finnish, I will select the time and currency format to Finnish, as these are different in European countries than in the US, so I want them changed. So both the time and currency format as well as the keyboard is set to Finnish. So now it supports Nordic keyboard layout. I will click next and install now. Setup is starting. The installation will also determine which version will be installed from the product key you might type in here. So for example, I will be using a Windows 7 Ultimate product key, so that will mean that it will install a 64-bit version of Windows 10 Pro. We want to install Windows 10 Pro because it gives the most flexibility, and it's the least like handicapped version of Windows 10. For example, Windows 10 Home, it has many features locked, so you cannot set anything like prevent automatic installation of updates and etc. So we want to install Windows 10 Pro. So if you don't have a product key, you must select I don't have a product key, and then you will just select the version of Windows you want to install. So I recommend you select the Windows 10 Pro non-N x64. But since I'm using a product key, I will type it over here. I will not show it to you on camera, of course. So you can find the product key usually from the outside cover of the case of your original Windows installation disk. So for example, if you are installing or upgrading from Windows 7 to Windows 10, you can usually find the Windows product key sticker from the original product packaging of the Windows installation disk, or it might have been removed from the case and the product key sticker has been attached to the outside part of your computer case, so you should be able to read it from there. So now I will type the product key here, and we will move on. So after that you get this license term page. So in order to move on, you have to tick the box over here to accept all the license terms. Then we will hit next. As we have booted the installation media, we cannot use the upgrade function, and since my operating system is pretty much dead, as I cannot boot it, I cannot upgrade it that way. So we have to select the custom one, install Windows only. So click the bottom option here, and now we get the list of drives and partitions where we can install. In this example, I only have the M.2 drive plugged in, but it has Windows has automatically split that drive into 3 partitions from the original install or during the original install. So that's why it's easier and more like trouble-free to do the Windows installation process without any other drives plugged into the rig when doing this process. So as we are just installing the Windows to the M.2, I will delete all the partitions to get just one in the whole list, and it will separate the reserved by the system on its own. So now we have just one drive option over here, drive 0 unallocated space. So we will just select this. We don't have to load any drivers or anything, as this is the newest possible operating system we can install, so we don't have to worry about any drivers or similar. So just click the single option now that you have here, and we will select next. As this is an M.2 drive, the process will be relatively fast, so just let this thing to pass, and it will reboot at least once on its own, so you don't have to do anything, just wait. And after that it will just ask all the what to do with the installation options after doing the main part of the installation. So just sit and wait, and you will see what happens soon. So once it has passed the actual installation process, so it has copied all the files and done the main part of the installation, it will reboot automatically. One thing of note is that if you want to do like very bare minimum level of installation, so you don't want any extra to run on your operating system, I recommend that you unplug the Ethernet cable for the actual installation process, because there are still things that I don't like about Windows 10, and one of the reasons is that I don't like the feature in Windows 10 that it automatically installs and downloads and installs everything, like even device drivers for your components like motherboard chipset drivers, audio drivers, graphics card drivers. So I want to do that myself, so it's very recommended that you unplug the Ethernet cable when you install the operating system and just plug it in after when you are on the desktop. So there are many reasons for this. So, and I also don't want any like extra security for Logan, so I don't want any like PIN codes or anything. So but if you want to connect your operating system installation to your, let's say, Microsoft account, then it's required that you have the rig connected to internet, even for the whole installation process. But just saying, so this is something you have to decide yourself. But if you want to do like very bare bones level of installation as possible, then just unplug the Ethernet cable like I recommended. So let's see, we should end up on the next part of the installation very soon. But overall, installing Windows 10 is very straightforward. It's much easier than installing any of the older operating systems with new platform like this. So for example, Windows 7 or older, those are very complicated and require a lot of like pre-work in order to get them installed easily. So now it just says just a moment. So right now, so since I'm in Finland, it asks for the region, and as I'm in Finland, I will select Finland on this list. I make sure that it's ticked, then I will click yes. Is the right keyboard layout? No. As I'm finished, I want to have the Nordic keyboard layout, so I will scroll down the list and select finish, but without Sami. I don't need the language of the people who live in Lapland, so I just select finish and click yes. And I don't want to add a secondary keyboard layout as I don't find it necessary, so I click skip. And I don't want to connect the rig automatically to internet, so this is the LAN that it offers. I will just connect it. I will connect to internet myself later. But again, if you want to link your operating system installation to your Microsoft account, you need to have the rig or your system connected to internet even during this whole process. So if you want that, if you want the extra security, if you want Windows to download everything for you, then just connect the system to internet for this whole process. But if you want to do like me, I will select I don't have internet. And then, yeah, there's more to discover when you connect to the internet. Of course, it wants to send data to Microsoft and everything, but I will continue with limited setup. Now it will reboot, I think. Yeah. So it will reboot and it will arrive on exactly the same page. So yeah, so it lands on the same page, so it asks for internet again. So I will just untick connect automatically for the Wi-Fi, and I will click I don't have internet again and continue with limited setup again. And now it will ask for the name, who's going to be running the PC, so I will just type in my name, click next. I don't use password as I'm not worried that someone would run my PC, so I will just leave it empty or blank, just like that, and I will click next. Do more across devices with activity history. No, I don't want any help from Microsoft or anything, so I will just select no. Of course they recommend you click yes, but I want to do very bare minimum level of installation, so I will set no. Now about the features of Windows 10. If you want to use Cortana, the speech recognition, then use the top option, so use online speech recognition, but I don't want to use it as I don't even have microphone at the moment, so I will select this one, the bottom option, and click accept. I don't want Microsoft to and apps to know my location, so I select no and click accept. I don't want Windows to find my device, so select no again and accept. And yeah, send diagnostic data to Microsoft. If you want to do very bare minimum level of installation, select basic. That's the least option you can choose here. So don't select full. I select basic as I don't want anything extra to run on my system that could cause some load, or I don't want Microsoft to collect any information about me. So I select basic and accept. And no, I don't want any improvement on inking and typing. I select no and accept. No, I don't want any tailored experiences, so I select no. And no, I don't want anything else. So that's it. Now we should arrive on desktop. So what I said earlier. So if you don't want Windows to automatically download and install device drivers, there's a way to prevent that, but you have to unplug the system from the internet for the installation process, and I will show you how to prevent the automatic downloading and installation of device drivers, etc. If you are, like, let's say, a beginner, if you don't know much about computers, etc., you might want to keep that option enabled and just let Microsoft or Windows to download and install everything, ranging from operating system updates to device drivers, etc. But if you want to have the Windows as very like bare level, as like very at the very like minimum level as possible, then you might want to install all the device drivers, etc. Manually. So I will show that to you once we have landed on the desktop. So now we are on the desktop. We can see it's nothing extra on the desktop. So in order to prevent, as we want to connect the system to internet very soon, so we will type in control panel in the search box, right click, open file location, and move the control panel to desktop as a shortcut, so we can easily access it anytime we want. Double click that, go to System and Security, click System, then Advanced System Settings on the left side, Hardware tab, Device Installation Settings, and here you can find the particular setting I mentioned. So at auto it's set at yes, but we want to select no and save changes. That's pretty much it. If you want to disable, let's say, page file or anything, you can do that in the performance part. So go to performance settings, etc., and choose processor scheduling to programs, of course. And here you could disable page file altogether if you wanted to, but if you run out of memory, you will blue screen if you don't have page file running. So I don't recommend you to disable that. So that's pretty much it. So there's nothing else really that you want to do. So now I would just connect the motherboard to the internet and install everything that I wanted to. You can even limit the automatic downloading and installation of Windows updates from the group policy editor, but I will not be doing that now, and I don't recommend you to do that if you use your operating system for daily use. Of course you want to have the latest updates running, but you can do that if you want to. So you can change the default setting in Windows 10 Pro version so that it will offer you potential updates, and you can then just manually choose to download and install them. But that's pretty much it. So now we'll just see. So that's how the system looks like. So nothing else connected to the brick. So just the M.2 SSD and the USB stick. So that's how you install Windows 10 version 1903 from a USB stick to an M.2 SSD. I hope you found this video helpful. So if you are a beginner, it should be very easy to follow these steps. So if you found this helpful and you liked it, please like and share this video, and subscribe to my channel. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.